me, Sean Capri. I'm glad you're here because you're listening to the most horsepowerful podcast on the internet. It's that Xbox Drive. I'm on a Skype call with my friend Ryan Turford. He's the man on the moose, and on our journey today, apparently Game Pass is on fire, so let's just talk about it here on the Xbox Drive. Blah, 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 blah. What's up, dog?
No power greater than X.
Hello, Sean Capri.
Hello, Ryan Turford. It's good to see you back in your natural habitat, my friend. You look glorious tonight.
Oh, well, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I mean, it's partially because, you know, I'm simply radiant because it's like 13 degrees outside, Sean.
I didn't even ask about it. I didn't even ask how you're doing. I just stated you look great. That's all I said. It had nothing to do with the weather, the climate, no nothing. Ryan Turford. I like that hat, by the way. That hat looks good on you.
It is a Metal Gear Solid Foxhound hat.
Is it really? That's sweet.
Yeah.
I love like game swag like that, where it's just like it's kind of hidden, but it's like if you know, you know.
Exactly, because otherwise it looks like just a random military hat that I just wear around all over the place. But you know, maybe I like Metal Gear Solid a lot, Sean. Who knows? Who knows with this kind of stuff? I mean, to tell you the truth, John, because I had told you this before off air, but for all the listeners to catch up a little bit, I recently had to do something in my apartment. We had to have some maintenance done, and when that happened, I had to throw out a lot of my clothes and all my hats. So I had no hats for a while. It was part of the reason why for a while you weren't seeing me wear hats. So this is one of the two hats that I got. The other one, though, I didn't realize the mistake because I got an Xbox hat, Sean, that says Xbox on it. But for whatever reason, the camera I use just decides to reverse the letters on it. So it's just like X Ox, but yeah, yeah. It's just like, what is that? Like, what? Like,
nobody can deal with that.
It makes it so hard to wear that on camera, Sean, because it's just like, well, you know, nobody even knows what that is.
It seems like it should be a palindrome. Like when you say Xbox, it seems like it should be the same both ways, but it ain't.
No,
it doesn't work that way. Nope.
No, and then none of that too. I don't want people thinking, oh, well, you know, Ryan just got the fake Xbox hat that just has Xbox spelled incorrectly on purpose.
That would be amazing. That we should add that. You know, last night on the Nintendo Drive, I was coming up with like all these ideas, and they actually came to life. Like shout out to Hopple and Bowser for like just taking those. Like, wouldn't it be great if we did this? And then you know, in the Discord, it's all there. It's amazing. But for our merch store, I'd love to have like a line of knockoff things, like knockoff merch items that like kind of look like the real thing, but they're not. They're just a little off, you know?
Yeah.
Maybe we have our own Xobs drive.
Xobs drives. Maybe that's the next podcast idea, Sean, is Xob drive.
We have too many podcasts.
Rolling into a town near you.
Too many freaking podcasts, man. Although the AI, they'll surely be creating the Xbots out there.
Yes, exactly. I mean, we'll be right up there with the Soulja Boy console podcast and the Television Miko podcast. It's gonna be great, Sean.
Donnie in the chat mentions Xbox, and that is something we've been trying to sort out. We got to figure something on. There's something there. Xbox, you know?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yep.
Yeah,
how many
definitely.
W's?
But also, you know, while we're on the topic of hats, Sean, I just got to give a special shout out because, you know, I didn't get these hats on my own. They were a special gift from my lovely girlfriend, Lasala. So shout out to her. She's really awesome. And I know she watches the show. So I want to give her a shout out as well.
And a nice week for you guys, you know, Valentine's Day, super lovely. Yeah. My wife and I, we ate pizza last night. It was heart shaped, but it was, we had pizza. It was delicious. Had leftovers today.
There was Final Fantasy 14 involved for my Valentine's Day, Sean.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
And now we're talking.
That's all I'm gonna say about
nasty,
that. Yeah. Sean, you don't want to know what goes down in a Final Fantasy 14 nightclub, okay?
I don't think I do. Some people do. Some people want to know. I don't think I do.
The best part is you think I'm joking. That's actually a real thing.
No, I know you're not joking. No, I know that's real. No, I'm good.
Oh my God, Sean, what is this show anymore?
Well, I'll tell you this much, Ryan. I got I get notifications when my friends are being active, right? When they're logging a workout and whatnot. And our mutual friend, fellow Canadian, Mark the Canadian Carabin, on Valentine's Day logged a workout on Apple Fitness that was, quote, other, and he logged 69 nice calories. And I'm just like, attaboy, you know? Just getting after that second kid. Get after it, Mark. Good job, buddy.
Of course.
Apparently he was shoveling snow. That's his story.
Yeah.
I don't buy it.
I don't believe that either for a second, Sean.
Nobody finishes snow that fast.
And that's when the show went off the rails. 5 minutes and 50 seconds into the show.
I love you, Mark.
All right, I'm gonna get us out of this. Let's clean the garage, Sean. Let's talk about all those things we need to talk about. So, folks at home, if you're watching the show right now over at youtube.com/carpoolgaming, whether you're live or watching the video on demand later, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and then ding, ding, ding. Don't forget to ring that notification bell to be notified whenever we have a live stream like this one, or whenever we put up a new video, like a very exciting PlayStation-centric video that's going up tomorrow.
What?
So you're not going to want to miss out on that. Lots of cool stuff coming to the channel. So you're going to want to, stay tuned as the kids might.
What is that? What is this? What are we talking about?
Tomorrow, Sean. Also, if you want early access to some of our podcasts a little bit early or some exclusive content, on over to Patreon, patreon.com/carpoolgaming. Throw a little tip in the old tip jar, just like Hopple did.
Yes.
Support from the exclusive tier to the gold tier. And we're also welcoming back Dano to the gold tier, as well as Sean Hennigan and Luke Lore to the exclusive tier. So shout out to all of our patrons out there. We love you so much. We couldn't do the shows without you. And of course, y'all are amazing. So thank you so much.
By the way, thank you for mentioning all of that, Ryan. And this ballooning, this amazing thing that's happening at that gold level, the gold member. I love gold. Everyone. Luke, Dano, Bowser, Hopple, reach out to me. You get a custom emoji in our Discord, and it's awesome. It's like your own personal like button on the thing. Ryan's is a moose. I've got some stupid face that
It's just your face. It's not some stupid face, Sean. It's your face.
It's my stupid face. Yep. You have to put it all over the place over there in the Discord. So, that's one of the perks at that gold level. We always talk about the exclusive content, but those gold members get cool stuff. The platinum members get a mug, by the way, and those ultimate producers get a shirt only available there. You can't buy that shirt separately, and they should be arriving for all those ultimate producers pretty soon. The 2023 version, Mr. Ryan Turford.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing stuff. So definitely head on over to that Patreon, throw a little tip in the old tip jar and help us out, and get some cool content or cool swag if you're into that kind of thing. Also, Sean. I've left this permanently in the cleaning the garage segment because, and especially now, since we have no news this week, we got to at least update the trophy room versus the Xbox Drive Fantasy Critic League, because of course,
I don't want to talk about it.
Okay. I guess we'll just move on.
I'm good to talk to you about it here. Like Ryan.
Yeah, Sean.
I don't know. I'm not even going to say it. I'm not going to give Joe the satisfaction, but screw that guy. Okay.
You're so mean to poor Joe.
I just don't even know what to do. I just don't even know what to do with myself anymore. Yeah. He's so aggressive and he brings the worst out of me is what is happening here, Ryan. So I'm just ignoring it. Whatever happens, happens. You know what, Joe? I don't care anymore. You can have your stupid PlayStation show with your amazing friend Kyle, who's way too good for you. You son of a gun.
Even though they did pick a lot of Nintendo games. So the update, of course, this week, Metroid Prime Remastered came out, Sean, and we didn't realize that it was going to be 95 on OpenCritic and get them 30 points, which is kind of ridiculous. So they've catapulted up to 37 points. It's respectable.
How did this happen? How did they get Metroid? This is your favorite game.
Because they literally went immediately after the draft and picked all 3 possible Metroid games that could come out and outbid us on all 3 of them. So,
son of a gun. Yeah. Well, Donnie in the chat says you should create a separate fantasy focused podcast. You can get it at patreon.com/carpoolgaming. Every month, Joe and I do meet up and we discuss that among many other things in the console war room, which doesn't air on free feeds or YouTube. You got to get it at Patreon at that $3 tier or not, man. This whole thing, we're recording a 45-minute commercial for Patreon. Okay. Yeah. That's what this is, like interspersed with, maybe some video game content, but that's all this is.
We'll get to the video game content at some point. Although this is all tangential to video games because video games are involved in Fantasy Critic. Because I want to point out
of a video game cup right now. I've got a nice Fallout cup right now. This is
but Sean, let me circle back a little bit because there's a main reason why I'm bringing this up. Because currently they're ahead of us right now at 37 points. We currently sit at 30 points at the time we're recording. However, your boy, the man on the moose, Ryan Turford, came in here with the sleeper pick Fiat Rhythm Final Bar Line, which got an 87 on OpenCritic. Game comes out tomorrow. Those points will be added to our total. So we're currently sitting at 30 now, Sean. We're going to be up to 47 tomorrow. So we're going to be 10 points ahead of those trophy room guys.
Oh, once again, they lost January. They're going to lose February as well. Yeah, is that what we're looking at?
Pretty much, because, next week, the big games we got coming up across the board, they have Like a Dragon Ishin, and we have Octopath Traveler 2, both come out next week. I think they probably negate each other. The only tough part is they have Horizon Called the Mountain, the PlayStation VR game, and that's the wild card, Sean. That's the wild card that'll then
77
determine, where this goes from here, and kind of set the trajectory for Fantasy Critic for a little while. But
I'm very curious to see. It's an exciting time for PlayStation, gamers who have $1,000 on hand to go buy a VR system and a couple games. But I'm excited to see it, man. I feel like there's unrest over there. I feel like people aren't really sure. Like it's just blog posts is kind of it, and then these random TV commercials. Like, what is happening over there?
I'm not gonna lie, I saw a lot of doom and gloom articles today about PlayStation VR too. So
no, there's doom and gloom articles about Game Pass. Like, I guess just video games suck, right? I guess that's like, what are we even doing?
It's true.
If you ask the internet.
Also, fun fact: I have a PlayStation VR coming next week.
Do you really?
So, yeah. So I'm actually excited to talk about it. So,
you bought like, wait,
we'll get into that later. We'll get into
okay. I noticed Bad Bit can't buy one. He has a PlayStation podcast.
So,
what's going on there?
Fun fact: we'll have 3 people at Carpool Gaming with a PlayStation VR headset. The trophy room 0. So who's more PlayStation now? Huh?
0 out of 0. You can't even divide that. You can't even put that into a calculator, Ryan. It'll give you an error. Okay, 0 divided by 0, like the calculator dies if you try and do that.
So it just gives you null, and it's like, what does that even mean? What kind of numbers are those? But anyways,
I don't even know what we're talking about. VR is cool, man. I hope it has a great launch. I really, really do. I would love for VR to be a thing. I would love it to be affordable and awesome and great game experiences. Like, it's interesting, and maybe we actually want to get into this, Ryan. Like, maybe now is the time where we're like, we need different experiences. Yeah. I feel like that's always the case, but maybe now more than ever, we're kind of going, is there anything else? Like, what else do video games have to offer us? Let's strap a screen to an inch away from our eyeballs and sear it into our retinas. That seems like a good idea.
That's why, like, it's sort of top of mind. That makes me almost wish that Xbox had a VR headset or worked with VR headsets in some way to have VR games on Xbox, because I think that'd be like really interesting, because then you could have a whole bunch of interesting ideas. And I mean, I do think you're getting different ideas with games. I mean, for God's sakes, have you been keeping up with the DLC rollout for Power Wash Simulator, Sean? At this point,
there's no keeping up with it
because between the Final Fantasy VII DLC for it and the Tomb Raider DLC for it, it's just like, what is even happening?
Was there Hogwarts Legacy? Like, was there cleaning like what is it called? Where you go to Hogwarts? Like,
I've never seen any of the Harry Potter movies.
That's got to be
read any of the books.
That's got to be a thing.
Yeah. So anyways. I don't know any of that stuff. But yeah, so I would love to see different experiences on Xboxes. So there you go. But to Donnie's point, this is an Xbox show. We should talk about Xbox stuff. So let's grab our 8 tracks, pop them in. It is time for the playlist. And Sean, you wrote something on the playlist here, but I'm going to go ahead and ask you anyways, because I do every single week. Oh, what'd you play, my friend?
I'm playing Fire Emblem 3 Houses. I'm dedicated to my Switch right now. I mentioned yesterday on the Nintendo Drive, I am committed. I'm in a committed relationship with my Nintendo Switch for now. Yeah. We've played Fire Emblem 3 Houses. This is the best way for me to handle this, Ryan. But the other games are still on the table. After I finish this one, the other games that I had on deck were Dying Light 2, Sonic Frontiers, Xenoblade Chronicles 3, and I think Elden Ring was the other one. So we'll see. Yeah. Who knows what I'm going to do after this, man.
I mean, at that point, Sean, you almost have enough games for another tournament bracket.
Oh, dude, I definitely do. I narrowed it down from a tournament bracket down to 5, put them on a Google. Like, there's a whole process here, man. And it's as enjoyable as playing the games. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like I have as much fun setting this stuff up as I do actually playing the games. And I don't know, man. I'm just kind of figuring it out as I go along. But what I've realized is every time I buy a new game, like Metroid Prime Remastered for some reason, I'm like, what am I doing with my life? Like I'm not finished the last games. Yeah. So I still have to play Triangle Strategy. I'm the #1 Triangle Strategy fan on the planet, and I didn't even finish it. So I gotta get back to it. I've got all these RPGs from last year, Ryan.
Yeah.
And Breath of the Wild 2 is coming up pretty soon here. So who knows, dude?
There's too many games, Sean. There's too many games. Well, as for me, I will preface the fact that, up until yesterday, I was away from my house and the only console I had with me was the Switch. So I didn't really have a lot of Xbox games I could play while I was on vacation, but I did play and beat Metroid Prime Remastered and Fire Emblem Engage. Both those games finished in the can. I also finished Kirby's Dream Land twice after it came to Switch Online because I love that game. The game's amazing. Of course, shout out to Donnie in the chat who throws out Kirby hype there. I'm very excited for Kirby's Return to Dreamland as well. But on the Xbox side, I did play a little game when I came back, which of course is our thumbnail for this week's show. So spoiler alert. I played Wild Hearts, Sean.
You did?
I did play Wild Hearts. So first off, for folks that don't know, Wild Hearts is a EA published game, but it's part of the EA Originals line. So similar to A Way Out or It Takes Two. It's not developed by EA. They're just publishing it. Because this game is actually by Omega Force, the company that does the Dynasty Warriors games, or the Warrior style games like Fire Emblem Warriors and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So it's a very different style game here, because Wild Hearts is trying to be Monster Hunter, but more of like a hack and slash game. Okay, if that makes any sense, where you take some of the the crafting, the trap abilities that you have from Monster Hunter to track monsters and lure them into a perfect scenario where you can then take them down with either groups of people online or by yourself. But in this game, it's a lot more hacking, slashing. Like it almost feels closer to something like Ninja Gaiden when you're in the heat of combat versus a Monster Hunter, which actually I thought was kind of refreshing, because one of my hangups with Monster Hunter, and one of the reasons why I've never really been able to get into it, is because I don't like the slow pace of combat in Monster Hunter. Like I feel like it's very clunky, or just I feel like I'm just weighed down by molasses in that game. Like I'm not able to dodge and pivot the way I feel like that I should. Whereas in this game, like you move like super fast in this game. And what's interesting about this game is the way the crafting system works. It's not like a traditional crafting system where you go into a menu and then you put a bunch of little things into a pot and it just makes the item for you. You have like a magical wrist guard on your arm, because you're in a fantasy world, of course. So that's just how it works. There's a story thing that it teaches you really early on that introduces that concept, but it's actually more similar to something like Fortnite, the building in Fortnite, where like you have like a build menu attached to like the left trigger, and then you can go in and build boxes that you can use to climb up different things, or springs to jump like high in the air, or you also have a camp that you also build out as well to allow you to craft new items or do a lot of different stuff, because building up your base camp is a big part of this game as well. But like what it shows you even in like the first boss fight is you can build boxes in front of like the enemy that you're fighting to like block attacks from the enemy, kind of like you would in Fortnite to block machine gun fire. So like there's this rat that you fight that has like a big flower on its tail. It looks like something from The Last of Us. Like it's infected with those cordyceps or something. And it's throwing these like giant boulders at you. So you build a bunch of boxes to block the boulders. And then you can then hop on top of them to then jump off and do like an overpowered attack and land on top of the enemy. So it plays a lot into the strategy, the crafting does. And I thought it was like really interesting how it plays into the combat. And so I'm really kind of digging this game so far. My only gripe about it, it running on Series X, it runs at 60 frames per second, which is nice, but man, it looks like it's smothered in Vaseline. Like it does not.
Really?
It is got a pretty looking game. The monster designs look incredible. Like it looks like they look like something out of like an anime, like Inuyasha or something like that. Like they look really cool and unique and different. But man, just the like it almost feels like there's this layer of anti-aliasing over the video that just kind of takes me out of the experience a little bit visually.
Yeah.
Which is too bad because I'm really, really kind of enjoying this game, and I'm like teetering on the edge of whether or not to pick this one up. But because it is on, EA Play or it is an EA game, I know it'll go on sale at some point. And since there are so many games right now, I'm probably going to wait until it goes on sale at this point. But
how are you playing this game? Is there a demo? What is happening here?
So I was about to get to that. So it is a trial on Game Pass.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, because it's an EA game. So as part of Game Pass, as being a Game Pass Ultimate subscriber,
of course,
you have access to all the 10-hour trials from EA, and this is one of them. Yeah, so it's a 10-hour trial.
Is it on? I'm on my PC, my personal computer right now, Ryan. I'm going to load up this application. See if I can. Maybe I hopefully won't break our entire stream down here. Like, is this a PC game as well?
It's a PC game as well. I don't know if the trial is on PC as well, or because I think you have to do it in a separate app than just the Xbox app.
Yeah, that's what I was just realizing. Oh, yeah. No, there's so many launchers. Where's my EA? Oh, I don't even know. Oh, it's
too
so
many
confusing.
steps, Sean.
It's so confusing, Ryan. I don't know how.
Yeah, I mean, you can just load it up on Series X, but honestly, this is a game that might look better on PC.
Well, that's what I was wondering. Yeah, well, and that's the whole thing. Like, here we are with our Series X, our most powerful console ever built, and 3 years in, and you're like, maybe this runs better on PC, like noticeably. Like it, I don't know. That's kind of upsetting, maybe a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, well, it could go both ways, Sean, because the other game I've been playing, and I just started playing today, thanks to our friends over at PlayStation. Oh,
here it is.
Canada.
I've got it. Sorry, I was not paying attention. What?
Okay. What I was segueing into, Sean, is because I was talking about PC. We were talking about PC games. The other game I've been playing this week, thanks to our friends at PlayStation Canada, is Returnal on PC. Returnal, of course, was a game I reviewed when it came out on PS5. I liked it. I didn't love it. I liked it a lot. But when the PC version came around, I really wanted to try it because I just got this brand new gaming PC, Sean. So I want to test things with this and see how it works. And the first message it told me when I loaded it up, Sean, it's like, we recommend you playing this on the lowest possible settings.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, because it's 16 gigs of RAM is like the minimum spec for that. Right. Like, and there's, again, I know it's an Xbox podcast, but we're talking about PC game here. But I think it's interesting in that the speculation there is that in order to emulate the super fast SSD on the PlayStation, they actually like load a bunch of the game into your RAM to run it there, which is, it's unusual to have that much as like the minimum requirement is 16 gigs. And I think you have, like, that's where you're at, right? You have 16?
Yeah, I have 16 gigs. I still haven't upgraded yet. I plan on upgrading. I'm thinking I'm actually upgrading because I can't upgrade outside of DDR4 at this point. So I'm actually thinking of upgrading to 64 gigs.
Do it. That's what I did. And everybody said I was nuts, but like, whatever, dude. Just get it done.
Yeah. And we actually prefaced a couple weeks ago, Sean, when I got my new computer, we would talk about PC games every once in a while on this show now.
Heck yeah.
Because we don't have a PC podcast.
I figured out Wild Hearts. It is... it's down. You can do it straight from. You have to deal with the EA app. You can find it in the Xbox app. It's all
that's awesome. Super easy. I'm gonna have to try it on PC as well because going back to Wild Hearts, I think it's actually pretty promising. I do like this game a lot. The visuals are really my only hang up with this because everything else I'm actually really enjoying with this game a lot. And
nice.
I'm only like 5 hours in because again, like I mentioned earlier, I just got home yesterday. So I haven't gotten to put the full trial time in, but I've been really enjoying my time with Wild Hearts, which really surprised me because I was not expecting to like it nearly as much as I have.
Nice.
Yeah, which is awesome. And I hope it reviews with the real too for our friends over in Fantasy League. The trophy room doesn't have it, Sean, so I'm not worried about that.
Yeah. No, I don't. Atomic Heart is the one that I'm very curious about to see that one is coming to Game Pass pretty soon. When the heck is that game coming? Is that like this month?
It's next week.
Yeah. So there you go.
Yeah, because it's a day and date game, or maybe it's the week after. I'm pretty sure it's next week though.
Yep. But I think you're right.
Yeah. Anyways, Sean, let's slam the brakes on this conversation. It's time for some breaking news. Now, here's the thing, Sean. It's a really slow news week in the world of Xbox this week. So we actually have one topic that everyone in the community really wanted to talk about this week. So we'll read that as part of the news here. So and then we'll actually jump into the questions right away as soon as I finish reading this. So
cool.
As part of the Activision Blizzard ongoing saga, as part of its case to the CMA, Microsoft has indicated that Xbox Game Pass tends to hurt overall game sales. Quote from the document they submitted, Microsoft also submitted its internal analysis shows a redacted percentage decline in base game sales 12 months following their addition to Game Pass. This is actually a very different take than we got from Phil Spencer in 2018, when he indicated that the sales of games on Game Pass actually increased versus now what we're hearing, which in a legally binding document, which says that they actually decrease over time. And it might just be, a trend changing thing. So I don't really want us to focus on the negative here, Sean. I almost want us to spin this into a conversation to be like, what is the true value of Game Pass going forward, and what does Game Pass maybe need to do to maybe improve things for developers here? But I want to bring in some of the listeners, like I said, first, before we get into all that stuff. Let's bring in the Muffin Mon first. Evan, aka Kevin Ainsworth, who says, "Hey guys, regarding the Game Pass drama," in quotes. Yes, he wrote quotes, so I'm actually doing the air quotes here. "I have to ask, why are people forgetting that developers and publishers get paid to include their game in Game Pass? And for indie games, it can often pay for the entire development cost. Just go and look back at Mike Rose from No More Robots talk about it on Twitter. The whole cannibalizing sales narrative fails to take this into account. I assume it's because they mostly think about big AAA games, which tend to be multi-platform, so they'll sell on other consoles, but still get a big chunk of money on Xbox, so who cares? Generally wondering why people are freaking out." And also, I'll read Brian X's question because it's very similar as well. Brian X also asks, "My question might be a little off topic regarding all this news surrounding Game Pass cannibalizing sales, but I'd be interested in what you all think about the psychology of subscription services. I've been thinking about this a lot lately. How has the subscription model changed customer spending, and how will services like Game Pass be dominant long term? Looking forward to the show." So huge thanks, of course, to Brian and Kevin for submitting questions this week. So Sean, taking this all in, first of all, before I segue us off into happier territory, what do you think about this?
It's a mess, dude. I think it's like the simplest way that I can do it. And I also think we have to keep in mind why and how this information is coming out. This information is coming out in an attempt to push through the merger. Mm-hmm. And yes, it's a legally binding document that would at least make us think that this is accurate. But I think there's a couple things that we're not really privy to, which is direct comparisons of like the time span that they're talking about that I think is being potentially, or I don't think it is. I don't know. But I can imagine it being manipulated in the way that it makes a case for Microsoft to come off looking weaker in order to get this thing done. I think that also might sound like a Xbox apologist. Like, of course, an Xbox show would say that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. I also think it does make sense in some cases that like some games might sell less because like that's the whole pitch of Game Pass. I also think it doesn't take into consideration games that get added that aren't on day one. I think that there's an element there that when games get added that aren't on day one, that aren't Xbox, obviously they wouldn't be Xbox first party, that there's a lift that happens, similar to even what happens in the overall lifespan of a game like Rocket League. That's a classic example. So I feel like it's a very well-defined for Xbox to do it in this way to make themselves look, it's such a weird thing. They wanted to make themselves look weaker so that they can actually spend $70 billion. It's such an absolute nightmare of a mess here that we have to untangle. But yeah, I don't think it takes into consideration nearly enough of these factors and variables of to your question or point, like what is the value of Game Pass? I think it's greater than, in the first 72 hours or even the first 6 months, how many copies of the games are sold. I in a way, it's almost irrelevant, So I also don't even know, like, why did this come up in that arena? Like, what does that matter?
Yeah, I think they had to ask about it as part of the part of whether or not it would break Call of Duty's sales, or it would be detrimental to Call of Duty as a franchise in such a way, or even, Activision Blizzard titles in such a
Yeah, I
way.
don't know.
But yeah, again, we're not lawyers. We're not, we're small town pizza lawyers, Sean,
Definitely.
if anything.
Yeah.
But not anything more than that at this point. So I will not, go down that rabbit hole or pull on that thread. Because yeah, you're absolutely right. And Kevin brings up a lot of good points too. As far as like just taking this at face value and just assuming the worst is definitely the wrong standpoint. To your point, Sean, they're definitely trying to position themselves as weak. And to Kevin's point, yes, it doesn't take into consideration the money that they get paid. It just assumes that the developers get nothing when their games come to Game Pass. I mean, that kind of is the way it is for first party titles, because, first party isn't going to really pay itself, but it's their games at that point, right? So that's not really part of that conversation. So, but also it's one of those things where I think Microsoft doesn't really care if people are buying their games day one. If they're on Game Pass, if they just play them on Game Pass versus buying them, like, I think that's part of the whole strategy of doing it this way, where like otherwise they wouldn't put their games on Game Pass day one if they thought that sales.
It's the what we're looking at is too narrow. Like businesses don't make decisions and analysis like this, where you go like, on this single metric, it's better or worse, therefore we're going to build an entire business around it. Like, the business cases are not built in that way. And so, like, I think about it in like, if you flip it a little bit, a different angle of this is for people who are subscribed to Game Pass, what do we spend, each of us, on a per customer basis? So I think if you were to look at it maybe from that angle, and this is not just spinning a story, I think that's where the economics of Game Pass make much more sense, where you're actually talking about the most like engaged people. Those are your month to month people. They're in your ecosystem. They are committed. So they're going to be spending the most money. They're going to be buying games that aren't on Game Pass. They're going to be buying into DLC and all these other things. They're the customers who actually do that kind of thing. And so none of that's, by the way, included in any of this conversation.
No, exactly.
It's just this game to this date. Like, it's actually kind of amateur. And if people are falling for it, like, we got to bone up on our business sense here a little bit, Yeah.
Because again, like this is also kind of a play to get you into the Xbox ecosystem, because they know, like if you start playing all your games on Game Pass on Xbox, if Xbox becomes your primary platform, then if a game that you're excited about that isn't on Game Pass that you actually might spend money on that you might not have spent before because you might have bought Halo Infinite instead, like you'll then go buy that game instead. Like you'll go out and buy Hogwarts Legacy, because even though it's not on Game Pass, you become an Xbox player.
You're just turning on your Xbox more. Exactly.
Exactly. Like, that plays into it. That's the whole reason why that strategy works, which is why, like, the true value of Game Pass is just exposing into games. This is the whole reason why, a game like High on Life, looking back on it, that game shouldn't have been like a smash hit success financially. Looking at, the usual rhetoric of, low review scores and low buzz for a game going into a game, usually resulting in, less interest. But because that game was on Game Pass, so many more people were exposed to it and then told all their friends, that it became this huge, one of the better selling games of last year because of that. And I think that's kind of the value of Game Pass when it comes to day one titles and also indie titles as well. Just word of mouth, like games like The Messenger, for example, when that came to Game Pass, from our friends over at Sabotage Studios, like I know so many more people who discovered that game because of that, then told their friends who own Switches that then went and bought The Messenger on Switch. So
that's interesting too.
So they're still so it's still resulting in people buying more games, despite the fact the games are on Game Pass. And sometimes Xbox gets those sales, and sometimes they don't. That's just how that works.
Well, it's interesting now, though. Like, now we're years past from when the commitment was made that first party games would come out day and date into Game Pass. And, I think this is meant, by the way, this whole system is meant to disrupt the industry. Like, that's really what it was meant to do, is to try to throw PlayStation off of its game. And I think where this is where the stupid console war stuff comes into play. Is like, I think it's becoming apparent that it hasn't done that yet. Like, it actually, with all the money that they've invested into Game Pass, like, I don't know that they've really like shaken. I mean, Nintendo just set a record with Switches sold, so it hasn't touched Switch at all, which, by the way, is, and both of these points, with Switch setting records and PlayStation 5 continuing on, it's like, what competition exactly are we worried about here? You know, like, I just don't see it, but I don't know. I don't really understand any of this monopoly type of talk anyways. Like, remember back in the 90s when it was all about Internet Explorer? And it's like Microsoft had a monopoly on that. Like, what is that even? What are you talking about? You don't buy Internet Explorer. You don't buy Netscape Navigator. I still to this day don't understand what the worry was about
Sean,
any of that.
someone bought GeoCities, okay? Like, that, it
Who
can
did?
happen. Yahoo did. That was the whole thing. Don't you remember that? I think that was a big deal. They bought GeoCities for $500 million.
Holy cow.
And then they closed it like a year later.
Well, just to this whole point though, like, I'm looking over at PlayStation, I'm looking at the PS Plus, and the lineup for this month is bonkers, dude.
Yeah.
Like,
kind of ridiculous.
It's not Game Pass, and it's not, I know they've got all their different tiers there, and everybody was waiting for like a Game Pass competitor, but dude, it's pretty good, and they don't have to do day one over there. And they sold, I don't know, 11 million copies of God of War. Although most of that, or much of that, was bundled in with the consoles that were sold over the holidays, which is whatever. But yeah, the whole, is it tanking the industry? Like, I don't think there's a case to be made there at all. But there's just, anytime, this is why we typically don't even talk about the Activision thing, because anytime a piece of information comes out of it, the console warriors come out, and it's nonsense.
Yeah.
And so I'm calling you out. If you're a console warrior, you're doing all this stuff, like, just take it easy. Okay.
Yeah.
Just settle down and check your arguments as well. It's probably more complicated than you're making it out to be.
Exactly. And again, to your point, that's the main reason why we just have kind of shied away from the whole Activision Blizzard thing. At some point, though, we talked about the idea of like, when the scales tip eventually far enough, because we know there's actually a big hearing on February 21st behind closed doors, with Microsoft pleading their case to the EU in person, after they came out with their findings saying, oh yeah, actually you should just separate Call of Duty as its own business from the Activision deal, but still pay the same amount of money. It's just like, well, of course it's not going to happen. So that's going to, I think that's when we're maybe going to get to the point where it's like, okay, maybe we'll actually have enough information to kind of tackle this properly. But
well, maybe I'll walk back my kind of attack on people out there a little bit, and maybe I should redirect it to these regulatory bodies, because it seems like the reports that are coming out of that are totally ignorant to the business itself. Like, so, like, I don't know, dude. It seemed like it was all centering on Call of Duty. I'm like, how is all of this just on like one game? I know it's huge, I get it, but like, King is massive, World of Warcraft, like all these other like properties, all these other elements, and we're talking about Call of Duty. Like, that's what is centering on this. I don't know. I don't get it, man. It's got to be more comprehensive than that. This is a huge deal, and if we're gonna treat this with rigor and review and evaluation, it can't come down to a shooter. I'm sorry. That's my view of it. And I think it's silly that whether you're online shouting at people or you're like a regulatory body who can determine whether this goes through or not, it's got to be more comprehensive. Because even in my day job, I'm doing more comprehensive review of stuff, and it's not nearly a $70 billion endeavor,
Yeah, exactly. Also, I will say, before we kind of move on from this, speaking of subscription services, with, PlayStation, you mentioning the PlayStation Plus drop this month kind of reminded me, I'm like, the one thing the other subscription services are doing right now that I'm sad Xbox isn't doing is old games, because I really miss the backwards compatible drops at this point.
Oh yeah,
more of those, because we just got GBA games and Game Boy games on Switch Online, and then we just got 3 really good games added to PlayStation Plus from the PS1 library this month, with Legend of Dragoon and Wild Arms 2, and I'm just like, man, I miss the backwards compatible days on Xbox. It makes me kind of
well, they're already there.
Yeah,
you're just not getting them dropped. This is my whole thing with the subscription service in general.
Sean. There's more games out there that we need on Xbox that don't exist yet.
Really?
Or that are on old consoles. I mean, brute force, Sean, is just waiting for someone to bring back, and it's not there yet.
If you say so.
All right, let's bring in two of our other questions here. And this one's subscription.
Hang on a second. No, I'm sorry. I'm going to interrupt for a second. I
Oh.
want to talk about the games that are coming to Game Pass. I just kind of dinged it for a little bit because PlayStation apparently is doing great. Atomic Heart, I'm sorry, February 16th, which is today if you're listening on audio podcast, Shadow Warrior 3 Definitive Edition, Cloud Console PC. February 21st, Atomic Heart. March 3rd, Wulong Fallen Dynasty. March 28th, MLB The Show. That's pretty dang good.
Yeah.
Okay. Day and date. Like that's the other thing. Maybe I just did it. We forget how good it is. Like we actually just let the internet narrative take over. Like, I guess it's not very good. And that PlayStation one's pretty much better.
Yeah.
No, that's great. That's a great Game Pass lineup.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Donnie Reese in the chat says, guess what isn't coming to PlayStation Plus? MLB The Show. Is that true?
Well, we don't know that. We don't know that because PlayStation usually doesn't announce games that are going to be day and date ahead of time. I mean, it's unlikely at this point. In fact, Donnie is probably correct, but they might actually surprise us when they announce the March games in the middle of next month and it just shows up.
But did they do it last year? Like, I guess that's the
precedent.
They didn't,
but the PlayStation Plus extra tier wasn't there last year at this time.
Holy cow, is that new? Holy crap. That's hilarious. Okay. Yeah,
because it came out in, I think, last summer.
Well, it's an interesting one because Sony actually gets the information about Game Pass.
Yeah.
Like they make the game. Like I would imagine, you know, but Sony doesn't publish the Xbox version of it. Is that the way that works? MLB does.
Yeah.
So I don't know how, like, I don't know. This is,
you never know. I still think there's actually a chance it comes to PlayStation Plus. They haven't announced it yet, but I think there's actually a chance it does.
Wouldn't that be telling if it does? Like that would lend us to think that maybe Sony likes what they see on the Game Pass model. Like, I don't know. I think that's very, very interesting. Or at the very least, I don't know if there's too much to read into that because maybe they just want parity because of the game being available elsewhere.
I think that would be more than anything what they would do if they did that. But I honestly, they don't even really need to because it'll still be the leading platform as far as sales probably for that game.
Yeah. Just
like, I mean, like when I don't know if you checked out physical sales for Hogwarts Legacy percentages, Sean, because the thing that comes out 86% for PlayStation, 14% for Xbox, and I'm just
that's that marketing dollars, man.
At that point, it's like, at that point, it's like, well, why do we even buy physical games on Xbox at this point?
It's true. You should have a digital version of an all digital version of the Series X, as I predicted in January. Ryan, we're still waiting on it. Come on, Phil Spencer. Give us a discless version, an all digital, a sad Series X. I'll draw a sad face on it, Ryan.
Oh my God.
Oh.
All right. Let's let Tim
every time you turn it on, it just has like a losing sound from The Price is Right. Bum, 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 bum. Welcome to Xbox.
All right. Let's get to Tim Callan's question. Tim Callan asks, how many games have you purchased even though they were on Game Pass? Just because you liked the game and wanted to support the developer. I bought every Forza/Forza Horizon and Dirt Rally title. Good thing too, because Forza Motorsport 5, 6, and 7 aren't even available digitally anymore. Forza Horizon 3 is not available as well. And that's part of it where like Forza is a good one to pick up because that those games will get, taken off the store at some point because of licensing.
Yep.
Like even the newest Forza Motorsport game that's coming out soon, because we don't know when yet. It will get, delisted from the store at some point. So Sean, have you ever bought a game that's currently in Game Pass still? Maybe even before, or even a game right before it left Game Pass?
Before it left Game Pass was Nobody Saves the World.
Okay.
That was one that was very recent. I feel like I picked up a bunch over the holidays. I'm gonna pull up my profile here and see what have I spent my money on.
Yeah. I mean, for the most part, from me, it's been indie games. I like one that I got last year that I remember was Record of Lotus War in Wonderland, which is like this really good Metroidvania game that's based off this old anime from the 90s that I used to love. So of course, your boy Ryan Turford was really into that game. So I definitely picked that one up. And a couple other indie games kind of come to mind. Bloodbrain Betrayal was another one. As well as some, 360 games. But for the most part, I will, of course, just, say this for full transparency, we are in a bit of a privileged position where, sometimes a lot of the games that, I might normally buy on Game Pass, we do end up with codes for and things like that as well, which definitely leads to different buying patterns for us. So
big time.
I feel like I have to at least, mention that a little bit, which is why, for example, I haven't really gone out and bought like any of the Forces games and stuff like that. But again, if I was a normal consumer, that would actually be part of my behavior where I would buy, Forza Motorsport or Forza Horizon 5 as an example when it goes on sale, just to make sure I have it when it gets, removed from Game Pass and delisted. But
yeah, that's a good call on the getting codes for things, because that's quite a few of what has happened for me as well. Metal Hellsinger is a good example of that. Like, it's an indie game. Vampire Survivors, another game that like I own, but it's mostly due to codes. So I don't know if we're necessarily the best people to ask for this.
No, exactly. I mean, because again, our buying behavior has changed, but we have done it at least a little bit. We've dipped in a little bit, and it makes sense. Like, if there's a game you're eyeing and it's on sale on Game Pass, and it's leaving, I think it's a good idea if you're going to play it to maybe pick it up.
Well, Ryan, this is one thing though. It kind of bleeds into what I'm doing with comics and movies though. Like, and maybe my day will come for Xbox as well, where I have this like kind of doomsday thought, especially with movies, because there's so many places to buy digital movies. I can go on like Apple or my wife's Google or wherever, like, or Xbox, or like, there's so many different digital stores. I know there's a way to like bring it all together. But I kind of like I don't want to deal with that. I just want to own the thing. I want to own the disc. For movies, it seems just simplest just to have the Blu-ray or the 4K.
Right.
So I've opted for that for movies, and also for comics as well. Like, I've been enjoying buying collected editions, even though most of them are still in the plastic wrapper. But a lot of people have been asking me, like, why don't you just get like a subscription to like Marvel Unlimited or Comixology or something like that? And the answer is I actually do. But I still want the physical. And I that's a, it's like the people who are collecting vinyl. It's just something is in us. I don't know if it's an old man gene or whatnot. I think Ryan has it. He's turning for something.
I mean, I was going to say, like, if you're an old man like me collecting Sega CD games, like, come on. I'm basically the person you're just describing, Sean.
Well, I guess the rant here is like, I wonder if my day is going to come where I go, maybe I should be buying Xbox games. Like, maybe I should be buying the discs. I don't know. I'm not quite there yet, but I've just realized this kind of buying behavior for me in other forms, where the movies are on Netflix and they're on whatever Disney Plus, but I would rather have them. Like, I want them. Like, I just want to have them. So I don't know.
Whereas I'm similar in some ways, but for different reasons. Because I also collect for movies. I have a pretty big Blu-ray and 4K collection. It's specifically like I've been moving a lot to 4K movies specifically, mainly because, especially for older movies, as a film or TV person like myself, I can definitely tell the difference between like a bad transfer and a good transfer for a movie.
Yeah.
So I like definitely want, like, if there's an old movie that's getting remastered in 4K, you better believe I'm getting the physical version of that, because like, streaming just doesn't do it. Like, streaming 4K movies does not do it justice versus
the fact that we call it that is bonkers. Like, I feel like that's marketing at its best, and somehow the what used to be maybe louder voices that would declare how different the 4K disc experience is versus quote unquote streaming in 4K. Like, it's not the same. Like, it's not, and I don't think it's even close. I think when you pop on like Top Gun Maverick in 4K, it's just like, it actually explodes off the screen instead of just like, there's just no way. How could it compare? It's literally just like playing as it's downloading. It's just a streaming thing. Like 20 years ago, we were doing Real Player. Like, how could we come that far? It's not the case.
But I mean, it gets uploaded to whatever server it's on in like a compressed format.
Right.
And so of course you're never going to get the full picture that you would with a physical disc, which is the main reason why I collect those. Whereas games, the only reason I collect physical games is because the physical games that I collect are, either games that aren't in print, or you can't really play other way. Like those Sega CD games I showed you, they're not on digital services. You can't get it unless you're, sailing the open seas with an eye patch, if you know what I mean. You're not able to play those games in any other way. at this point besides playing them on the original hardware with the original disc. So that is the main reason why I collect like physical games for older platforms. And that's the main reason why I've gone digital only, because my apartment is so big, Sean. I only have so much room for things, which plays into it a lot. And especially like, we've talked about this off air a little bit, but my life is changing a little bit. And that might mean getting rid of some stuff, and because I'm going to have less room for things. And when that happens, it's like, well, then I definitely can't collect physical Xbox games, because where am I going to put them? Like at that point, right? So I gotta pick and choose a little bit and kind of figure out what I want to collect and stuff like that. Like these figures and these autographs is like, I'm not gonna have room for all this stuff. Like I need to put them somewhere, or I need to.
Are those exclusively ladies? Those statues?
I got some male figures back there.
You got some dudes.
I got some
dudes
back there.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
You got any Fire Emblem waifus back there?
Well.
What do you
I got some. I got Cosmos from Xenosaga. I got some. I got Edelgard, who's out of frame.
Boring. Edelgard is boring. Oh my gosh, you and
Sean. She's my favorite.
You and what's his name? Kevin
Ainsworth.
I'm
just Kevin Ainsworth has good taste, but despite the fact that he has no
boring. And you like Yukiko as well, right? In Persona 4.
No, I like Rise.
Okay. Oh, yes, you do. That's right. I feel like in my mind they're connected. This Edelgard and Yukiko, because they're both boring. That's why.
You clearly have not played the Black Eagles route, Sean.
Dude, the Persona games just came to Game Pass. What are we trashing Game Pass tonight for? Go play Persona. Go play 300 hours of JRPGs. Oh my gosh.
Sean, I don't think we've trashed Game Pass the entire night. And actually, I like Donnie's point in the chat. Ivy over Edelgard.
Who's Ivy? Who's Ivy?
She's from Engage. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I like her better. than Edelgard. But last question of this week comes to us from the Supreme Court of Canada himself, Port Lalonde, who asked the question, with so many great games coming to Game Pass this month, what are you guys excited about and are actually going to play? So, Sean, you read them off earlier.
Yes.
Out of any of those games, are you going to play any of them?
I think Atomic Heart has my heart. I think that's probably got the best chance. Although, I don't know, does it count to say Wulong is March 3rd?
That counts. That counts.
I'm very excited for both of those. I feel like Atomic Heart, for whatever reason, I might be able to just kind of settle in and play more, but Wulong might be a little bit more challenging. It's just that style of game that might push me away. But I got to finish Fire Emblem. I'm in a committed relationship. I don't know what all these temptations are for. But those are awesome. I feel like I just read literally all the games that we know, and they're all top tier. I want to play all of them.
And I mean, the month's not over. We know that they usually do a second drop before the month is over.
Oh yeah.
So we'll probably actually have that for next week's show. So I imagine there will be some other stuff coming out this month on Game Pass besides those that to play. And for me, the answer is probably just Wulong, and that's it. Because Atomic Heart, I'm waiting to hear what people have to think about that one. The problem with Atomic Heart, the day it comes out is the same day that, it comes out the same week as Octopath Traveler 2. And there's no chance it's going to steal me away from that, unfortunately. So I'm just going to be playing that. And Theatrhythm, I'm still probably going to be playing that too. So it's just, Atomic Heart, just bad timing, unfortunately. I might play it later in the year, but it's definitely not day and date. Wulong, though, I definitely want to get a chance to play because I love Team Ninja and I love the two Neo games. And this is really the spiritual successor to Neo. So I'm actually very excited for that reason. So I definitely want to check that out. But of those games, I think that's the only one I grab.
Yeah, it really just depends on how long it's going to take me for Fire Emblem. Then we'll respin the dial. We'll see what happens, Ryan. But I'm kind of just enjoying playing these older games. I don't know. Maybe if people want to hear, two co-hosts of the Xbox Drive playing current stuff, maybe we need somebody else to come on in because I'm not sure that's going to be me this year. We'll see.
Yeah. I mean, I might just go back and play some more Kirby's Dream Land again. I've beaten it twice.
Okay, now you're doing it to upset me. You're trying to get under my skin. There's so many other games. That's the whole thing. That's what we've been talking about the whole time.
Sean. Okay,
all these choices, and that's what you go to.
I'm mostly just killing time waiting for Donkey Kong 94 to come to Nintendo Switch Online because that game is amazing. And we didn't see it on the slideshow, and I don't know if it's ever coming to the Game Boy thing. So It's just one of those things. And of course, Lachlan and I, we see eye on the Kirby thing.
You're getting far too much support for this right now.
That's because Kirby's great. I mean, would it help if I told you I also beat Super Mario Land 2, the 6 golden coins this week as well?
That would help. That would help. I didn't mention it on the Nintendo Drive. I beat two zones of that. I did it in kind of a weird order, right?
Yeah.
I'm like,
well, you can do it in any order. It doesn't matter.
The tree zone. I did like half of anti-macro zone, and then I went over to the shipwreck one. What is that one called? Yep, the turtle zone. I think
where you actually go inside like a whale. And stuff. A whale stomach.
Makes sense.
You're just jumping around in its blubber.
It's jelly.
You haven't even gone to the zone I thought you would start with, which is the space zone, Sean, because it's in space.
Oh, I do. Dude, that game is great. Oh, I love it so much.
That game is really good.
And you can beat it in like 2 hours.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even know if it takes that long, honestly. It's probably like a 90-minute run.
I mean, it takes longer to beat than Kirby's Dream Land, which is 45 minutes.
Yeah. No, it's really good. Really. I mean, this is not the Nintendo Drive. This is the Xbox Drive where we talk about Xbox.
We're closing up shop, Sean. We're parking the car at this point.
Oh my goodness
gracious.
Ryan, April 6th, Everspace 2 full release Game Pass PC. That's what I'm excited for. Nice. I'm gonna grab my joystick with my entire hand.
Oh, speaking of PC games, Sean, I forgot to mention that Company of Heroes 2 comes out next week as well on PC, and I'm really eyeing that one.
There you go.
It's a real-time strategy game that's brand new for my brand new gaming PC. It's what I've been waiting for, Sean. I'm so excited.
I like it. I'm happy for you, man. That's nice.
All right. Anyways, let's move out of here. Let's get this show.
We're done.
Sean, finished. Where can people find you on the internet?
You can find me if you open up Safari, I guess, and go press Command O to open it up, and you can type in http://www.twitter.com/Sean Capri, Sean like Connor, Capri like the pants. Make sure that you go to patreon.com/carpool gaming. Join one of the many legends over there at the exclusive tier, the gold member, the platinums. There's tiers and perks galore. We've got content coming for you guys all over the place, including we're about to record You, Me, Capri, Ryan. I don't know who's joining us, so I won't say, but at least me and you.
It'll at least be up.
It might just be like kind of like the Xbox Drive post show.
Yeah. It might be.
There you go.
We're talking about all kinds of weird stuff probably on that show.
Indeed.
As for me, you can find me by opening up your Sega Dreamcast CD lid and putting in your disc for the Sega Dreamcast web browser, then plugging in your Dreamcast keyboard, and then using the keyboard, typing in the words http://www.twitter.com/Ryan Turford. You also find us on Twitter at Carpool Gaming, at YouTube at youtube.com/Carpool Gaming, on podcast services around the globe. So for Sean Capri, I'm Ryan Turford. This has been episode 278 of the Xbox Drive. Only 22 more episodes until episode 300, and we out. Bye.
I really want to know if people are really excited about Game Pass games, or are you like the rest of the internet, you're just mad at everything? And if you're really mad at everything, just maybe try to throw a little gratitude in your life. Do a list of like 3 things that you're grateful for, and I promise you, you're going to have a smile on your face. We'll see you guys next week. Bye, 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 bye.
No power greater than X.